I never thought a routine hospital visit could break a life in half. But that's exactly what happened on a quiet Tuesday morning in Brookside, Oregon, the kind of town where nurses remember your birthday and the hospital still smells faintly of lemon disinfectant from the 90s. I drove my mother, Helen Carter, to Brookside Community Medical Center for what the doctor called a simple preventive procedure. He said it like he was describing a dental cleaning. No risk, no complications, no reason to worry. Mom trusted him. I trusted him because she did. She joked on the way there, asking if I remembered to bring her crossword book. I did. She teased me for always driving too slow near the hospital zone. I pretended it was intentional. Nothing, absolutely nothing, felt like a warning. Inside, the hospital was quiet. Too quiet. Only one nurse sat behind the reception desk, typing with the kind of focus people use when they don't want to make eye contact. We checked in. They handed us a clipboard with 3 forms. Mom signed her name with her usual slow, looping handwriting. 40 minutes later, a nurse named Lydia Graves called her in. Lydia smiled at us, but it was the kind of smile that didn't reach the eyes. I thought she was just tired. Brookside staff always complained about being understaffed. "I'll take good care of her," she told me, guiding Mom toward the hallway. I almost believed her. I went to the waiting room, opened Mom's crossword book, and tried to distract myself by solving a puzzle I was definitely too stressed to focus on. Every few minutes, a door opened or closed in the hallway. Shoes squeaked. Carts rolled. Nothing unusual. Until the moment Lydia walked back into the waiting room alone. Her expression wasn't tired anymore. It was blank. Too blank. "She's done," Lydia said. "You can take her home." That was it. No aftercare instructions. No briefing. No paperwork. "No, if you notice anything unusual, call us. Just you can take her home." I asked, "Everything went okay?" She forced another smile. Everything went according. I sat in my car for a long time, gripping the forged medical file like it could steady my heartbeat. Cars passed behind me in slow waves, nurses walked in and out of the hospital entrance, and everything in Brookside kept moving as if nothing in my world had shattered. But the lie on that page, my name, written by someone else, burned hotter than grief. I walked back into the hospital and demanded the full chart, the original signatures, the digital logs, anything. The clerk looked pale. "Ma'am, I'm not allowed to release more." "Who told you that?" I asked. Her eyes flicked toward the hallway behind her. Before she could answer, a door opened and a woman in navy scrubs stepped out. I recognized her immediately. Nurse Lydia Graves. The same woman who had taken my mother into the back room. The same woman who told me everything was according to protocol. The same woman who, apparently, had explained post-care instructions I never received. She walked toward us with a clipboard held like a shield. "Is there an issue?" she asked coolly. I held up the forged paper. "Yes. This signature isn't mine. And that one isn't my mother's." For a split second, Lydia's eyes widened, a tiny flicker before smoothing back into calm professionalism. "Ma'am, we have everything documented. If you don't agree with the signature, you can speak with our legal office." "My mother died," I said quietly. "And you're telling me she signed this after leaving this building?" "That's not what I said." "Then what are you saying?" She didn't answer. I stepped closer. "Where is the electronic record?" "I want the digital timestamp." "Show me when this was signed." Her lips tightened. "I don't have access to that." "Then find someone who does." Her eyes narrowed slightly, irritation, maybe fear, maybe something darker, and she leaned in. "I suggest you be careful with accusations." "Accusations?" "Right. Because the hospital didn't want a grieving daughter looking into anything that could expose them." I stepped back, breathing hard. "Give me the patient's care instructions," I said. "The ones you claim you gave me." She didn't move. "Ma'am, those documents aren't available at this time." "Why?" She hesitated. And then she delivered the sentence I would replay in my mind for days. "They were misplaced." "Misplaced?" I repeated. "Like the digital signature log?" She stiffened. I'd hit something. Before either of us could speak again, a man in business attire approached. His badge read, "Conrad Pace, Hospital Administration." I drove home with the updated medical file sitting on the passenger seat like a piece of radioactive waste. Every few seconds, I found myself glancing at it, the smooth, sterile digital stamps where my mother's loops and swirls should have been. They didn't just erase her handwriting. They erased the moment she trusted them. By the time I pulled into my driveway, the sun had dipped behind the hills. The house felt too quiet, too still. I walked inside, dropped my keys on the counter, and sat at the kitchen table with both hands pressed against my temples. Everything about this was wrong. Wrong in a way that wasn't random. Wrong in a way that takes planning. A forged signature. A missing document. A hostile administrator. A nurse who lied without blinking. All within 48 hours of my mother's death. I opened the file again, flipping through the pages until I reached the procedure summary, the one that looked harmless at first glance. Procedure performed for contrast-assisted imaging. Side effects: mild drowsiness, light nausea. Status: discharged with instructions. Instructions. Instructions I never got. I read the next line twice. Patient was alert, stable, and escorted out with family. My throat tightened. My mother was barely able to stand when Lydia brought her to the waiting room. I helped her to the car. I buckled her seatbelt myself. She wasn't alert. She wasn't stable. Someone rewrote that too. I snapped a picture of every page. Every line. Every stamp. They weren't taking this from me again. Just as I finished photographing the last page, my phone buzzed. Unknown number. Local area code. I hesitated, then answered. A shaky, whispering voice came through the line, a woman's voice, afraid and urgent. Miss Carter? Yes. Who is this? You don't know me. Please don't say my name out loud. I'm calling from a burner phone. I can't risk them checking my logs. The hairs on my arms rose instantly. Who are you? She inhaled sharply. I'm a nurse at Brookside. I shouldn't be calling, but I can't watch this happen again. My fingers tightened around the phone. Again? She exhaled, a trembling, painful breath with too much history behind it. They're lying to you, she said. Your mother didn't get the procedure you were told. The doctor changed it at the last minute. No consent form. No discussion. And something went wrong. My heart slammed against my ribs. What went wrong? I whispered. Silence. Then, I can't say on the phone. They monitor everything. But listen very carefully, the hospital is burying the incident by shifting the responsibility onto you. My lungs tightened. I know, I said. They forged my signature. The nurse gasped quietly. So they already started. God, what do they want from me? To close the case, she said. If the family is at fault, insurance won't investigate. The hospital won't be audited. Everyone walks away clean. Everyone except my mother. Except me. Except the truth. I swallowed hard. Why are you telling me this? You could get fired. The West Wing of Brookside Community Medical Center didn't look like part of a functioning hospital. It looked like the skeleton of one long, dim corridors with yellowed floor tiles, flickering lights, and walls still carrying the faint smell of chemicals from the last renovation 20 years ago. Most locals didn't even know this wing was technically still open. Storage rooms, maintenance closets, old record archives, a graveyard of the hospital's forgotten pieces. And somewhere inside it, Locker 17. I parked 2 blocks away, not wanting the staff to see my car. The wind cut through the empty lot as I approached the side entrance, the one used by night maintenance and delivery drivers. The keypad on the door was old enough that you could hear each mechanical beep echo down the hall when it accepted the code. The door clicked open. Inside, everything was silent. Not quiet, silent. The kind of silence that pressed against your ears. I walked slowly, clutching my phone like a lifeline. The fluorescent lights hummed above me, buzzing with a low, uneven rhythm that felt almost deliberate. The old West Wing always creeped me out as a kid. Mom used to tell me stories about how, back before the town expanded, this wing held the maternity ward. You cried your lungs out here, she once joked. Now, the place felt hollow. I reached the first intersection of hallways and saw a faded sign. Record storage. Mechanical room. Lockers, basement level. Basement. Perfect. I descended the narrow stairwell, each step groaning under my weight. This was the kind of place where no one looked unless they absolutely had to. A perfect hiding place, or a perfect dumping ground. The basement air was colder, sharp where the upstairs was stale. Rows of staff lockers stretched along the wall, each metal door scratched and dented with years of neglect. I scanned the numbers. 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, and then 17. My pulse hammered in my ears. The locker was slightly ajar, not enough to see inside, but enough to tell me someone had opened it recently. I looked behind me, checking the hallway twice. Nothing. No footsteps. No shadows. I exhaled shakily and pulled the door open. Inside, on the top shelf, lay a small plastic evidence bag. Inside it, a USB flash drive, labeled with black marker. Case 14B, archive copy. My stomach flipped. This wasn't my mother's case number. This was another patient. Another routine procedure. Another unexpected death. I reached for the bag, but something else caught my eye. Behind the shelf, taped to the back wall of the locker, hidden behind a strip of old hospital tape, was a folded piece of paper. My fingers trembled as I pulled it free. It was a page from the procedure logbook. The date matched the day my mother died. The doctor's name was at the top. And beneath it, written in the rushed scrawl of someone in a hurry. For contrast error, do not sync report. My chest tightened. Error. A real medical mistake. Not my mother's fault. Not mine. The truth was here, documented, but kept off the system. Someone didn't just alter her chart. They covered up what really happened. A loud metallic clang echoed from down the hallway. The moment I heard Lydia's voice echo down the concrete hallway, something inside me snapped into survival mode. My hands went cold, my breath shortened, and every instinct screamed the same thing. Move. Now. Conrad Pace stood only a few rows away, shoulders squared, posture calm, too calm for someone who had just discovered his evidence missing. He wasn't afraid. He wasn't panicking. He was hunting. I crouched low, keeping my steps silent on the cold basement floor, slipping between two rows of old metal lockers. The fluorescent light above flickered like a heartbeat, each pulse threatening to expose me. Conrad's voice floated through the basement, steady and chilling. Miss Carter, this is only going to get worse for you. If you walk out with that file, you're committing a felony. You don't want to do that. He said it like he was offering me a deal. A lifeline. Like he truly believed he still had control. Lydia's footsteps echoed behind him, faster, sharper, her breathing uneven. She's here, Lydia said. I heard something. She didn't leave yet. No, I hadn't. But I'd leave now. I clutched my phone in one hand and the evidence bag in the other, slipping behind an old cart stacked with dusty binders. The cold metal brushed my arm as I squeezed past it and reached the emergency exit at the back of the basement. If memory served, this door led to the maintenance ramp outside. If the rumors were true, the alarm had been broken for years. I pushed the metal bar slowly. It didn't budge. Of course it didn't. I tried again, harder. Still nothing. Then I saw it. A padlock looped through the outside frame. They'd locked it from the other side. I swallowed the rising panic. No exit here. Fine. New plan. I needed to get upstairs. Out into the public areas. Somewhere with cameras and witnesses, somewhere they couldn't corner me. I slipped back toward the stairwell, staying close to the shadows. Behind me, Conrad's tone sharpened. If she found the log page, we're out of time. They'll investigate the entire wing. They won't, Lydia insisted quickly. We'll get it back. She couldn't have gone far. Her voice shook despite her words. Conrad didn't respond. I reached the bottom of the stairwell, only to freeze at the sound. Footsteps. Coming down. Someone else was entering the basement from above. I darted behind a rolling cart just as the first figure appeared. A janitor. No, not the janitor. A man wearing the janitorial uniform, but with shoes far too clean. Too polished. His movements were stiff, deliberate. Security. They'd disguised him to avoid attention. He scanned the basement calmly, like he knew exactly what he was searching for. He began descending the stairs. And now I was trapped between Conrad, Lydia, and the fake janitor. The air felt too thick to breathe. Okay, think. The only chance was the old records alcove, a narrow little side hallway that wrapped behind the central ductwork. If I could slip behind it, I could reach the second stairwell on the opposite side of the basement. It was risky, cramped, dark, perfect. The stairwell door slammed behind me, and the sound echoed like a gunshot through the empty concrete shaft. I didn't wait to hear if the stranger followed. I took the stairs two at a time, my breath clawing at my throat. The second-floor landing appeared, dimly lit by a single buzzing bulb. I didn't stop. I pushed through the door, spilling into a quiet administrative hallway, the kind with framed photos of board members and motivational posters from 2008. Empty. Good. I hurried down the hall, passing closed doors labeled personnel, records, billing. Behind me, the stairwell door opened. The footsteps returned. Not rushing, pacing. Calculated. They weren't chasing. They were tracking. I forced myself to think clearly. I needed a place with cameras. People. Witnesses. An area they couldn't control or sanitize. The main lobby was too far and security would block the elevators. But there was one place they'd never expect me to use. The public waiting area on the pediatric floor. Third level. Open. Bright. Constant foot traffic until midnight. I sprinted to the next stairwell, glanced inside, empty, and began climbing. Each step felt heavier than the last, like the weight of the evidence in my coat pocket was dragging gravity itself down with me. At the third-floor landing, I shoved through the door and entered a hallway filled with soft pastel colors, cartoon stickers, and ocean-themed wallpaper left over from a remodel attempt that never got finished. Voices murmured behind the half-closed door of the playroom. A nurse at the far desk typed chart notes. Parents talked quietly in the waiting area. Perfect. Safe. At least safer than the basement. I slid into a chair near a vending machine, pretending to scroll my phone, pretending my heart wasn't trying to escape through my ribs. The evidence bag pressed against my ribs, the flash drive, and the log page inside. The truth. Something they absolutely did not want reaching daylight. I opened my phone's camera and quietly snapped photos of both pieces of evidence. Then I uploaded the images to a secure cloud folder, password protected, auto backup. If they took the bag, they wouldn't take what I'd saved. And then my phone buzzed. A text. Unknown number. You're on the third floor. Leave before they corner you. My blood froze. How did they? Another text arrived instantly. They're using internal hospital cameras. They know where you are. I looked up instinctively. A dome camera sat above the hallway, blinking. Someone was watching. Someone who wasn't the anonymous nurse who'd called me. This was someone else. My phone buzzed again. Go to the family restroom behind the story time room. Door doesn't have a camera. My fingers trembled over the screen. I typed. Who are you? 3 dots appeared. Then, someone who doesn't want to see you disappear like the others. Disappear. No. Stop. Don't let the mind spiral. But the text continued. Hurry. The moment I stood, the nurse at the hallway desk looked up, startled, like she'd just heard something in her earpiece. She looked. The pediatric hallway stretched before me like a tunnel. Bright colors, cartoon whales on the walls, cheerful posters that felt almost cruel against the panic rising inside my chest. My steps were fast but controlled, every muscle wired tight as I kept the blue keycard hidden in my sleeve. Behind me, voices echoed. Not rushing. Not yelling. Just steady, coordinated footsteps. They weren't searching. They were closing the distance. I turned the corner before they saw me and slipped into the staff stairwell. The door shut with a soft click, echoing up the narrow cement shaft. I held my breath, waiting, praying none of them had seen where I went. Silence. Then footsteps past the door. Then faded. I leaned against the cold wall, forcing myself to breathe. The nurse's words kept replaying in my head. She didn't just pass in her sleep. She died because of their mistake. My mother didn't get peace. She got silence. Manufactured silence. I pushed off the wall and started moving again, descending the stairs toward the ground floor. Every sound felt amplified, the hum of the lights, the scuff of my shoes against concrete, the faint buzz of a distant intercom. I reached the bottom landing. A sign pointed left. Ambulance bay, staff access only. Perfect. I scanned the stairwell again. Empty. Then I swiped the blue card. A green light blinked. The lock clicked. The heavy metal door opened into a dim hallway lined with supply carts and trauma kits. It smelled like antiseptic and cold air that hadn't been warmed by anyone's breath. I started down the hallway, but froze as a voice drifted from around the corner. She has the log page and the drive. If she leaves the property, we have a serious liability problem. Conrad. He was on the phone. Calm. Calculating. We can't let her get to a lawyer, he said. Not with that documentation. Just stall her until the board signs off on the administrative review. A pause. Yes. I know what the report says. That's why it must not reach her. Another pause. A long one. Then his voice sharpened. No. We are not calling the police. We are handling this internally. My pulse hammered. I looked toward the ambulance exit at the far end of the hallway. 20 meters. Bright emergency lights flickered beyond the glass. I could reach it. If I move now. Conrad's voice kept going, colder now. Her mother's case is closed. It stays closed. If she wants to file a complaint, she can do it after the review. By then it won't matter. A door somewhere opened. Footsteps. Multiple. Coming closer. I slipped behind a cleaning cart and watched Conrad's silhouette pass by the hallway entrance. Sharp shoulders, perfect posture, confidence of a man who believed the building itself answered to him. When he disappeared around the corner, I bolted. Quiet, fast, focused. I reached the double doors of the ambulance bay and swiped the blue card again. The lock clunked open. Cold night air rushed into my lungs like a second chance at life. I stepped outside and nearly collapsed from relief. The bay was empty. I didn't sleep the night I escaped the hospital. Not even a minute. I sat at my dining table with the evidence bag open in front of me, the flash drive, the handwritten log page, the photographs of both, and the blue keycard that had saved my life. By sunrise, I'd made 6 copies. 3 digital. 3 physical. 2 I hid outside the house. 1 I mailed to myself by certified delivery. Insurance. Layers. Protection. If they wanted to erase the truth now, they'd have to erase half the town with it. By noon, I had a lawyer. His name was Evan Pierce, and he had the kind of quiet confidence that made you feel like the universe had finally put the right person in your corner. I'll never forget what he said after reading the evidence. "This is not a malpractice case," he murmured. "This is a corporate cover-up tied to state funding. And they picked the wrong woman to bully." We filed immediately. Not a complaint. A lawsuit. Wrongful death. Evidence tampering. Forgery. Retaliation. And the judge fast-tracked the hearing after seeing the emergency affidavit. Brookside Community Medical Center tried to delay it 3 times. They failed 3 times. Because Evan had the documents. I had the documents. And we weren't backing down. The day of the hearing. The courtroom was full. Reporters. Locals. Former patients. People who had long suspected something was wrong in that building, but never had a name for it. Now they had one. Mine. Conrad Pace arrived with a full legal team, adjusting his tie like he was attending a fundraiser. Lydia walked in behind him, eyes lowered, lips trembling. And somewhere in the back row, I saw the nurse, the one who helped me, sitting with her hood up, knees shaking, but present. Alive. Safe. For now. When the judge entered and the session began, Conrad's lawyers launched into their script. Brookside Community followed protocol. The patient's family failed to comply. The daughter is emotionally distressed and misremembering events. These documents are unverified. Professional. Polished. Rehearsed. Then Evan stood. He didn't raise his voice. He didn't pace. He didn't need theatrics. He simply placed the original log page on the evidence screen. The courtroom gasped. The judge leaned forward. Conrad's face drained of color. Evans spoke quietly. This is a real-time record of the procedure performed on Ms. Helen Carter. It clearly states an error occurred, and that report syncing was intentionally suppressed. Additionally, the patient's signature recorded in the system was digitally inserted after the time of death. The hospital attempted to shift responsibility onto the family to avoid liability. He let the silence settle. Then he lifted the flash drive. And this, he said, is an unedited backup copy from the hospital's own archive. It contains timestamped entries that contradict every page in their revised file.